Well, the Four Nations is over. Canada is back on top of international hockey, and now somehow I gotta settle back into watching regular season hockey games. I'm not gonna lie, trying to get hyped to watch a regular season hockey game against the St. Louis Blues last night was kind of rough. I feel like I should have liked it a lot more. Jets hockey's back, you know me, I'm excited, I'm ready to go, but at the same time, it just didn't have that feel to it, you know? It's so funny, because this tournament, I don't even think the NHL realized how big it was going to become, because it felt like the pinnacle of all sports. It felt like the energy going into a Game 7 Stanley Cup final. And now we still have regular season games before we even get to the goddamn playoffs. It's crazy. It's a wonderful time to be a hockey fan. It's a wonderful time to be a Canadian. And I'm just really happy that hockey is getting the attention that it deserves right now, because we're seeing some of the best hockey being played, this year as well. It's been a great year in the NHL with a tournament like this mid-season before the playoffs. I think it even builds more hype. And it really sets the stage for the energy I think that we're going to see from a lot of these guys that participated in this tournament as well going into the playoffs. And I think that's really exciting. And, the Jets definitely did not slow down and stumble like a couple other teams did coming out of this break. I felt like they played a pretty damn good game. Considering it was an ugly game, they were able to still go out there and get the victory, which I think is all that matters. But nonetheless, though, you find yourselves at the Jets, if you find yourself, especially if you're in management of the Jets, over that break, you didn't really get that much done. Like, you still went out there and you extended Vlad Nemestikov. We got that news the other day, which is a great contract, 3 years, $2 million, with the cap going up with what his skills he provides. That's a very fair contract and a really good move by Kevin Cheveldayoff, but I still expect that he's got more up his sleeves, The game, like I said, against St. Louis last night was messy. It had its ups and downs, but the Jets were still able to come out on top and set a franchise record 9 straight victories. That is absolutely incredible. In a season of records being broken, league records being broken by the Winnipeg Jets, to set a franchise record as well in win streaks, that's a huge deal for a lot of these guys that have been here for a long time. I know that that ninth victory was a big one. They haven't been able to capture it for a while, but still, now if you're the Jets, you find yourselves linked to some crazy, crazy players. Mikko Rantanen potentially being a Winnipeg Jet. Can you absolutely imagine that? As well as assistant captain on the Philadelphia Flyers, Scott Langton. And again, those two players, very, very different in skill gaps. Let's talk about Mikko Rantanen first, because when I saw this news, it blew my mind. Coming out of the Four Nations, getting the win, the franchise record, and then seeing Mikko Rantanen, that name being in the Winnipeg Jets in the same sentence, it blew my mind. Because let's be real, we all know about the massive trade that went down between the Colorado Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes like about a month ago at this point. Chicago was a third team in there. For some reason, they just felt like gifting Carolina all this talent. I don't know why. But nonetheless, though, they were really able to, establish themselves, the Carolina, and really, at a dominant player. But it seems like Mikko Rantanen is complicating his future, and it seems that he will not be resigning with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, everything's still up in the air, but at this point, a guy that's already got 66 points this season, that's already been traded, might be traded again because he doesn't want to sign in Carolina, and Carolina only wants to have this guy on their team if he's going to sign. And you look at the stats he's been able to put up, obviously he's played with Nathan McKinnon, but this is one of the most elite, underrated players in the NHL. Like, you look at those stats, like, look at the points that Mikko Rantanen has put up. This guy is absolutely a legit all-star franchise player, a Stanley Cup champion. And seeing the Jets be tied to someone like this just excites me, because it shows that the mentality is in the right place for management this year. I know seeing the Jets also tied to Scott Langton right there, as well as Mikko Rantanen, kind of proves the point that they're just shopping around, trying to bring in real talent. But, if a guy like Rantanen is available and you are the Jets in a position that you're in the standings with the play that you're getting from your guys, you need to go out there and acquire absolutely the best guy you can. And if you don't, you need to at least try. And that's exactly what we're seeing from the Jets right now, where they're tied to so many elite players in this NHL that potentially could be traded. And I think that just elevates this team and really excites this fan base, honestly. When you really look at how good the Jets have been, you look at what Kevin Cheveldayoff's been able to provide, as a GM, even, with the trades he's been able to pull off the last couple of years, how well they've worked off, and I know that Mikko Rantanen is coming to an end of that $9 million contract is expiring. He's going to need a new one, and it's projected that he could be paid up to $14 million. Now, are the Jets going to pay Mikko Rantanen $14 million? I don't know. So because of that fact, I don't know how how grounded in reality this trade rumor is. Obviously, the Jets want a guy like Rantanen. Who wouldn't want a guy like Rantanen? But at that price point, with the assets it's going to give up, the fact that he might not sign here, obviously there's so many moving parts in a trade like this. Even though I want it to happen, and I really think the Jets should go out there and try to make that push, I can see why they're also looking at a guy like Langton, because 27 points, 55 games. He's had a pretty solid career with Philadelphia. Kind of underrated at times. He's obviously I wouldn't say that he's like a top 6 upgrade. This is definitely a guy for that bottom 6. This would be the type of move that the Jets would make to reshape and shore up the bottom 6, really add some more fourth line grit, I would say, to this team. I think that's what they're looking at, obviously, with Langton. I'm not trying to compare a guy like Rantanen and him. This is not the same type of player whatsoever. So, different roles to fill, obviously, going into the trade deadline. That seems to be the way that the Jets are approaching things. But if they were to go out and get a guy like this, I think for the locker room, I think it'd be pretty good. I think that he would be a really good fit with a lot of the chemistry and a lot of the guys that are on this team. But that being said, I don't think he is that big of an on-ice upgrade. I think in the room, he'd be a great fit, and he's exactly the type of player that you want to have, for physicality and for an experience going into a playoffs. But at the same time, I just don't think that that's the right guy to elevate the on-ice play, and that's what the Jets really need, Like, they're already so good on the ice, and they have a pretty damn good room, I think, from what we've seen this year, and the interviews and the behind-the-scenes content that the Jets have filmed and posted on their social medias. Everyone just seems to be really meshing well with this core, so I don't know if you go out there and you just look for a guy to bring in to kind of help mesh. Obviously, you want a guy that's going to fit well with this team. Everyone knows that, but at the same time, you want to also find a guy that's going to really elevate your on-ice play, and I just don't think that Scott's going to be that guy to push the Jets in the right direction on the ice. In the room, chemistry-wise, yeah, absolutely, I think he'd be a great fit, but I want the Jets to go out there and do more. Now, I know there's a lot of risk in acquiring a guy like Mikko Rantanen. Look at what the whole trade was. We already saw what the price tag was for him not too long ago, and the Jets would definitely have to give up a ton. And then you have the fact, well, if he already was traded to Carolina, he doesn't want to play in Carolina, he doesn't want to sign in Carolina, and they're already looking at moving on from him. Would that carry-on effect happen with the Jets? I don't know. The $14 million rumored cap hit for next year with his contract, new contract coming up. That's going to be probably an 8-year contract, potentially at $14 or more million. That is a massive contract that would really, change the scale of the way that the Jets have paid guys in the past. And not to mention, there's already a lot of dudes on the book that the Jets need to re-sign and look at for the future. We're going to have to still address, I know with Nemestikov being signed, but Ehlers is still out there as an unrestricted free agent. A lot of questions around Nikolai Ehlers. Guy that's killing it as of late, had a great game the other night. Gabriel Velarde, who scored the game winner. Well, not the game winner, but still, you're going to need to re-sign him. Alex Iafallo is going to need a new contract. Neil Pionk is going to need a new contract. Dylan Sandberg is coming as an RFA who's going to need to be re-signed for the long term. Like, Chevy has a lot to do. So there's a lot of risk in acquiring a guy like Mikko Rantanen, but I think, honestly, so maybe in a case like this, the risk is worth the reward. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Check out all the affiliate links down in the description below. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Go Jets, go. And I'll see you all in the next one very, very soon.
It'll all be over.